What's going on, everybody? It's Patrick, your pharmacist and healthcare advocate. Gets in Tampa, Florida. www.tampahealthadvocate.com, or you can reach me by email, patrick@tampahealthadvocate.com. Now, let's talk about PBMs. Let's talk about drugs, and let's talk about why your drug prices are so damn sky high. And this is one of the most disgusting aspects of the healthcare system to me, and it's something I really want to talk about. And I think people need to know. I think a lot of people go to the pharmacy and they're like, the hell is this? My Eliquis is $700 this month. And we're going to talk about Medicare. We're going to talk about the donut hole. We're going to talk about that on a separate video. But right now, I just want to go at the PBMs because they're not your friend. Big Pharma is not your friend. Okay. Your pharmacist is your friend and a trusted ally. Your pharmacist at CVS and Walgreens, Publix, Rite Aid, the small pharmacy, the independent pharmacies, those pharmacists, now they're your friends. But Big Pharma, the PBMs, those companies, they're not your friends. And we're going to talk a little bit about why. We're going to talk about why me as a pharmacist is the best healthcare advocate for you in the healthcare system. So welcome back, everybody. Before we get started, like, subscribe, share if you like this content, or if you know somebody who needs a little bit of advocacy or wants to learn a little bit more about the healthcare system. In America, the healthcare system is a business. Do not forget that. That is your number one lesson for today. Now, there's going to be a lot of other lessons, but I'm going to say it one more time. In America, healthcare is a business. And that business doesn't give a damn about you, your grandma, your mom, your dad, anybody. But I do. And I'm going to show you why. So today we're diving into a topic that affects millions and millions, channeling my Rock from WWE there a little bit, of Americans every day, the soaring costs of medications in the United States, and the influence of those damn dirty, evil pharmacy benefit managers or PBMs and how they impact your patient care. So let's talk about some of the reasons behind this issue and let's explore its impact. So we'll start off with the pricing. Healthcare is a business, right, guys? So there's complex pricing structures. So one of the primary reasons for high medication prices in America is this really complex pricing structure within the pharmaceutical industry. They establish it, they make it difficult for you. So pharmaceutical companies often set high prices for medications, citing research, development, clinical trials. Like, who's going to pay for a clinical trial, right? Who's going to pay for a clinical trial to determine if a drug works? The only people that have the money or have the vested interest, the drug companies. Hello, people. Let's think about it. And so the advertising costs, like, how many times do you guys watch TV or listen to the radio or a podcast or something and they're talking about drugs? So you have advertising, you have paying for research, you have development, you have clinical trials. So right there, like 4 or 5 things right there that are very high cost, high ticket items that these drug companies are paying for. And the reason that they're trying to stick it to you, the consumer, you're paying for all their nonsense. These pharmaceutical companies are setting these high prices for medications because of research and development, and they still need to turn a profit because what was our number one lesson for today? Healthcare is a business in America, okay? And they need to have profit so they can innovate in the future, guys. Now, I will say, in America, we have some of the best medications. We have some of the best treatments in the world. I mean, we are on the forefront of a lot of this. And in fact, we're kind of like the world's testing ground almost. Okay, so like medications, they come through us, they check it out, see if it works in America, and then it can go out to other countries. Generally, other countries pay less. Like, if you look at the price of lisinopril in America, which is a blood pressure medication, and lisinopril in Canada, it's like pennies on the dollar compared to what it is here. And that's a pretty cheap drug here in America. But you look at that cost of that medication in another country, it's dirt cheap. You go to Mexico and go to one of those pharmacies, and I'm not saying to go do this, but like, if you're in Mexico and you just so happen to walk into a pharmacy, check out the cost. You can like buy anything you want for like cash, and it's cheaper than you'll ever get it here. I mean, there's whole hustles of people who go down to Mexico and buy drugs and bring them up here and resell them at a fraction of the cost that they would get them through insurance at a pharmacy. I digress. I'm not encouraging any of this activity. I'm just telling you there's some corruption going on in the world. Okay. So, additionally, there's not a lot of transparent pricing. Like they're not going to come out and just say like, hey, this is what it costs us to make. This is what you have to do. It kind of goes back to the healthcare as a business thing that we talked about over and over and over again. But there's no price transparency. And they don't really talk about the competition in the market, which is allowing drug manufacturers to maintain monopolies and keep the prices of the drugs inflated. Guess what? If you're a type 1 diabetic, you need insulin. You can't just say, hey, I'm not going to take that, right? So they're going to stick it to you. Now, recently, insulin prices is supposed to be going down. I guarantee you it's going to pop up somewhere else. So and if the cost of insulin goes down, they're going to get their nut somewhere else in the world on some other medication. Don't you worry about that. It will affect someone else if it hasn't started to already. So we're going to keep our eyes and ears open for that. I'm going to keep you guys informed about what's going on. Let's move on to PBMs. I personally think these guys are the devil. I mean, you can argue with me if you want, but they're basically glorified middlemen between you, the consumer, or the pharmacy, and the drug manufacturer. So PBMs act as intermediaries, maybe is a nicer word of saying it, not middleman. They're intermediaries. Okay. Between insurance companies, pharmacies, and drug manufacturers, and managing the prescription drug benefits. While their original purpose was to negotiate discounts and rebates with drug manufacturers to lower medication costs, PBMs have increasingly come under scrutiny because their practices, like they don't share how they do it. And I don't know if you know anybody that's on a lot of medications or an expensive medication, but there's no transparency here. And a lot of times these drugs cost pennies to make, but you're paying hundreds or thousands of dollars a month for these drugs. So like you tell me, like you guys go look at it, you look at the information, you tell me what's going on here. Okay, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because it's the most one of the most corrupt things in healthcare. And if it were up to me, if I was president, there wouldn't be a PBM left on this damn planet after I got done with them. That would be my first thing to do. So if I end up unalived by somebody, you know where to find it. I am not crazy. I'm not that crazy. But if I end up in that position, take a look. What happens? So let's get back to it. I digress. I get angry at this, and you guys can probably tell how passionate I am. But PBMs often negotiate complex rebate agreements with drug manufacturers, which might not always get the best result to lower the cost for you, but it does help them line their pockets. That's for sure, because they'll lower the cost. They'll negotiate a nice low cost from the drug manufacturer, but they don't pass the savings on to you. They pass the savings on to themselves. And then you pay on the other end. So instead, these rebates get pocketed by the PBMs, just like I said, and they're leading to higher out of pocket costs for who? Not the drug companies, not the insurance company, you, the patient. PBMs are here coming after you. They get the savings and then you pay the difference. It is insane. I don't get it. I don't know how it's allowed to happen. I'm sure there's some lobbying and things that goes on, but that's out of my scope of practice. I'm just here to inform you as to why your drugs are so expensive. So how do PBMs impact the patient care experience, right? Like you've kind of already heard about all these other things, but how they impact patient care. There's high costs of medications, and the influence of PBMs can have a significant ramification on patient care. Patients can face financial barriers. Again, we've talked about this on other quick snippets of patients. What if you're on a fixed income? What if you're just on Social Security? You're an older person, or you know, you don't have like a high paying job. You might not have health insurance. I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons. You just got laid off and you don't have health insurance anymore. So patients face these financial barriers to accessing essential medications, leading to medication not adherence and adverse health outcomes. So these PBMs are not passing the savings along to you. They're pocketing the difference. They're making money off you being sick. And they are making money off the fact that you get sicker, then you have to go back to the doctor and get more drugs that you can't pay for. It is a hamster wheel, guys. And this pisses me off because I see older people struggling all the time because they can't feed themselves, keep their electric bill on, and get their drugs. There isn't a choice. This is truly upsetting. And that's why I'm in the healthcare advocacy business, because I want people to be able to get their drugs, put food on their table, and keep that light bill on. While we probably won't be able to do anything with, with PBMs in my lifetime, or maybe we will, I'm not really sure. There's still ways of mitigating this. There's still ways of saving money. And that's why I'm your health advocate, and that's why I'm your pharmacist, but I digress. So PBMs practices are like, they're hidden, they're veiled. Sometimes they call them opaque, which means you cannot see through them. They erode trust in the healthcare system, which I'm sure they have for many of you if you're watching this or someone that you love. And they hinder patient provider relationships. And so I'll give you a perfect example is pharmacists used to be one of the most trusted jobs in healthcare of all time. If you were a pharmacist, you were well trusted, you were well respected. And unfortunately, PBMs and the pharmaceutical companies have created a rift between us and the patients. People used to say, I love my pharmacist. I love going to talk to my pharmacist because they give me the answers I need. But now your pharmacist is telling you that you owe them $1,000. And it's not the pharmacist's fault. We're not setting the price on your medications. It's the PBMs, it's the drug companies, it's the insurance companies that are setting that price, and they're eroding your relationship with us, the pharmacist, the healthcare provider that is here for you. And that's why I'm telling you this information, because I want you to trust me. And especially, I want you guys to go out there and I want you to trust your pharmacist. I want you to be able to go and trust my colleagues, my friends who are out there working on the front lines, just like I am, but in a different way. I want you to get your trust back in your local pharmacist because we are here to help you. If you ask any of the average pharmacists, they're so sick and tired of this stuff, sick and tired of having to tell people on a fixed income that they have to pay $1,000 a month for some stupid medication that costs pennies to make. Take it out on your pharmacist. I know it's probably there's a face there standing there for you to be angry with. And we understand, like we get it. We're the ones having to tell you this unfortunate information. But let's reestablish some trust with our pharmacists. Okay. I'm gonna get back on track. This topic's very easy. It gets me really wound up. And so the patient provider relationships, like I've seen it where my clients like they go to talk to the doctor and they're like, Doc, you put me on a medication. It's like $1,000. It's $800 a month. I can't afford that. Right. And maybe the doc didn't know that that wasn't on their formulary or for whatever situation. But still, at the end of the day, like it is hurting the relationship with the people that are supposed to be taking care of you as a patient because you get told one thing and then something else happens. And it's never like, oh, okay, like I can dismiss that. It's usually freaking alarming thinking that you're going to go, you go these drugs that you're on, like $5, $10 copay here and there, all of a sudden 500. Come on. Makes anybody want to rip their hair out. This is inhibiting patients to be able to make the healthcare decisions or to be empowered the way that they should be within the healthcare system because their financial interests are being eroded away. Their trust with the healthcare system is being eroded away. And just generally, their overall well being is being hampered because they can't afford their medications or they have to take their medications, every other day instead of every day. This leads to, poor adherence, poor health outcomes, hospital stays, which cost more money. We can go on and on as to why this is a problem. So, what can we do to change this a little bit? So, it's essential for us to understand that we can advocate for policy reform. So, you can write your congresspeople, depending on if they're in their pocket or not. They'll listen, they might not. So, you can advocate for policy reforms. There's initiatives that are aimed at addressing the root causes of high medication prices in PBM practices. I think the big thing that what a lot of people are going for now is we just want the PBMs to be transparent, and that's not happening. And that's really disgusting and disturbing that the PBMs and the drug companies cannot be transparent about the prices that they're negotiating for the patients because there's no way some of these medications should be costing as much as they should, especially life saving or life necessary medications like, a blood thinner like Eliquis and somebody with AFib. Eliquis is expensive for a lot of people. And until it goes generic, it's going to stay expensive. So being able to put this scenario in play, you can create competition in the market between, pharmaceutical companies. Policies can ensure that the savings negotiated by the PBMs are actually passed down to the patients, because that's not happening right now. So it's important to get active. Write your congresswoman, write your congressman, write your congressperson. Talk to your local area. Talk to your local area elected officials, right? And so these are the ways it's going to instill change, because if we let them keep going, they're just going to keep raising the cost. Medications are going to get more expensive and inaccessible, and bad things are going to happen to good people. And so before I get too angry, I'm going to kind of wind this boy down. Okay. So if you like this content, like, subscribe, share. This is Patrick, your pharmacist, your health advocate. But the high cost of medications in America and the influence of PBMs on patient care are very complex issues. We're far from fixing it. We are very far from even close to being at a solution. But it starts with us at the bottom. If the people say we don't need these, hey, if we get healthier, if we start eating healthier foods and needing less and less medications, that'll send a message to them. That's a perfect way to do it. Be less reliant on medications, be less reliant on processed foods, try to eat healthier, exercise, be active. That's a good way to show them that you don't need them. That's a great way to start. The other way is to talk to your congresspeople. If they're not in their back pocket, they'll help you. There's plenty of congresspeople out there that are very against PBMs and very against how people are treated and how the savings are not being passed down to the patient. And so as we kind of go into the future, hopefully there's some reform that takes place. We can work towards healthcare system that prioritizes affordability and accessibility and patient-centered care. And that's what I'm trying to do here at Blue Zone Healthcare Advocates. I will implement tips and tricks to help your medication costs go down if I can. Sometimes our hands are tied. Sometimes they tie us up so bad we can't. But a lot of times there are some tips and tricks that we can do as pharmacists that can really work for you. So like, subscribe, share. If you found this information valuable, please reach out, ask me questions. Patrick at tampahealthadvocate.com, www.tampahealthadvocate.com. I'll see you on the next video, everybody.